All right, 42. List of individuals from which a sample is actually selected is called the sampling frame. Okay, it's not the sample, that's the people we're choosing the sample from. Ideally, the sample frame should list every individual in the population, but in practice it's difficult. A frame that leaves out part of the population is a common source of undercoverage. Suppose a sample of households in a community selected at random from a telephone directory. What households are omitted from this frame? Okay, we've talked about this a lot. People without a phone, um, unlisted, or cell phone only people, right? Okay, what types do you think are likely to live in these households? Okay, which type of people are these? Well, it depends which group you're in. If you're without a phone altogether, then might mean one group of people that you know just extremely poor, can't afford anything. Maybe you don't even have a home. Okay, maybe you're homeless. Unlisted might be because you just don't want anybody to know um, what your address is or where you live. That's a certain group of people that flat out don't want to know where you live or any information about you. And then there are people that only have a cell phone, and that's more and more common nowadays. And those are all different kinds of people. People that just want to save money. That's why we did. We said, why are we paying a landline when we don't hardly use it anymore? So that's a bigger and bigger group of people nowadays. Um, so all of these people will be underrepresented in the sample. Okay. B. It is usual in telephone surveys to use random digit dialing equipment that selects the last four digits of a telephone number. Rather than selecting from a directory, you're randomly selecting digits. Okay. Which of the households you mentioned in A will be included in the sampling frame? Okay. Well, now that I'm randomly selecting digits, if I'm given an exchange, which is the first three digits, now I'm going to hit which people? Well, the people that are unlisted, I'm going to now get, as long as you have a landline. Because if these first three digits are from a landline, now I am hitting the unlisted people because the unlisted people still have a landline. Okay, so if they have a landline, they will now be included. Certainly the people without a phone won't be included, and the people that have a cell phone only still won't be included. Now, if the first three digits that I call are cell digits or cell numbers, then now I'm including people with cell phones only, which I don't know if they do that. I personally never had a marketer call my cell phone, but that doesn't mean that's not happening. So I don't know if they're doing that or not. But this is a little bit better than using a address book. All right, 44. Wording survey questions. Comment on each of the following as a potential sample survey question. Is the question clear? Is it slanted toward a desired response? Some cell phone users have developed brain cancer. Should all cell phones come with a warning label explaining the danger of using cell phones? Well, nowadays, you could probably argue that everybody that has gotten brain cancer has used cell phones, since most everybody uses cell phones nowadays. So, so really, this is a bad. I mean, you could look at it a bad question from that perspective. Um, but yeah, you're certainly arguing for a yes. We should put a warning label on cell phones. By saying this. What if you said? I mean, you could say this. Some cell phone users haven't developed brain cancer. I mean, that's a true statement also. So certainly making that true statement right there, okay, I mean, is trying to slant the result of the question one way or the other. Okay, bad question. Okay. Um, bad question. They want you to answer in the affirmative. B. Do you agree that a national health system of health insurance should be favored because it would provide health insurance for everyone and would reduce administrative costs? So basically, they're wanting you to answer, do you agree that a national health system of health insurance should be favored? And then they're wanting you to answer yes, but they're actually giving you a reason because it would do this. Okay, so by telling you this reason, if it provides health insurance for everyone and reduce administrative costs, then they want people to say yes. Okay, that's what they're trying to get you to say. Yes, but is there any guarantee that this is going to happen? Okay, and that's right now what some of the argument about with Obamacare is all about, is that, hey, not everybody has health insurance, or the insurance that people have isn't great insurance, and that it really is more expensive and costing more money than we said, et cetera, et cetera. It's a whole nother issue. But we didn't know this. You don't know this information ahead of time. That's my point is, you don't know the information that it would provide insurance for everyone and reduce costs. So you can't really make that sentence, that statement right here when you're asking this question. You have to ask the question without that comment there. Do you agree a national system of health insurance should be is? Do you agree with that, or would you like that? Okay, but you can't comment. Okay, bad if you want a fair question. Okay, C. In view of the negative externalities of parent labor force participation and pediatric evidence associated increased group size with more, holy cow, what kind of sentence is this? In view of the negative externalities of parent labor force participation and pediatric evidence associated increased group size with morbidity of children in daycare, do you support government subsidies for daycare programs? Okay, most people when they read that are going to do what I did. What in the world is, I can't even read that sentence hardly. Okay, they're wanting you to say, in view of all this, do you support it? Well, yeah, I do, because this has to be bad. Because I don't really know what it is, but yeah, I'm going to support this because that just sounds bad, doesn't it? Sounds bad. So yes. Dot, dot, dot. That's the idea behind this, okay? Now, if you really look in to see what this is, and you know what you're doing, then maybe it's not a bad question. But again, all of these questions are designed, okay, for the uninformed reader. Okay. All right, 45. Write your own examples. So we'll talk about that in class, and I will ask you. I want to hear some of your questions on that, because they're really easy to write, and people do it all the time, as you probably will start noticing. And last but not least, 47, point Hispanics. We had 3092 adults nationwide, 1074 were Hispanic, has a margin of sampling error plus or minus 3 percentage points for the entire poll, and 4 percentage points for the Hispanics. In other words, the whole poll was within 3 points of whatever it is they were asking. 4 for the Hispanics. Say they were asking for, hey, do you favor a certain candidate? Then the whole poll was, it's within 3 percentage points plus or minus 3%. With Hispanics plus or minus 4. Sample sizes for most Hispanic nationalities like Cubans or Dominicans, if you break it down further, were too small to break out separately. Why is the margin of error for Hispanics larger than for everybody? And why are the other ones too small? Well, let's just talk about this as a general statement. Okay. The smaller the sample, the blank, the variation. So as I want you to think about, the larger the sample, blank, Okay, so we're going to answer that in just a second here. Suppose I'm asking about favoring a political candidate, candidate A or B. If I take sample one, I might get a group and ask them, of 1,000 people or 2,000 or 10,000 people. Say it's a big sample. Okay, so let's do big sample. Okay, sample one, I might get 62% favor candidate A. Sample two, big sample. I might get 61% favor A. Would you be really surprised if in sample three, with a big sample, we're talking thousands of people, if I pop up with a 40% sample A? Would that surprise you? Again, we're talking thousands of people. And the answer should be, yeah, that's really surprising. Okay. Now, if I said small sample, let's do something really, let's go extreme so you can really see the point here. Let's say sample size of 10. Okay. If I said, hey, 60% favor candidate A, that's my first small sample. Then I take sample 2. Now I said 40% favor A. In the first sample, to get 60% favoring A, that was 6 out of 10. And this is 4 out of 10. That's a swing of 2 people. That wouldn't be that surprising. In fact, if I got a third sample and got 20%, that'd be 2 out of 10. Even that wouldn't be that surprising, would it? Because there's so few people in this sample, to get a swing that much isn't a big deal. For me to swing in a group of 1,000, think of it, to go from 60 to 40%, that's 600 out of 1,000 to 400 out of 1,000, roughly. That's a huge swing in my sample. So the smaller sample, the larger the variation, the larger the sample, the smaller the variation. Okay, so since the Hispanics was a smaller group, they had a larger margin of error, that's variation. And for very small sample sizes, a responsible news organization, they're not going to talk about the Cuban results because it's such a small group that you can't make a statement about the population for such a small group. How do you know if it's this one, or this one? So sample size is big. Does that make sense? Not big in the number sense, but big in the sense of it's important. All right, there you go on that one. Thanks.